The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
Greetings, Tetraminos, and welcome to Board with Video Games, the gaming podcast that strives for the right balance of coverage for games you play on your table and on your television. You can think of us as the Willow and Xander of gaming podcasts. We're a proud member of the PSVG Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts, Kyle, and joining me on this co-op adventure, the guy who doesn't let the fact that someone is a werewolf dissuade him from true love. Josh, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm not loving the the Buffy references, but other than that, I suppose if you're a werewolf and I didn't know and I fell in love with you, it would only become a problem once every month or so.
Are you really saying you'd rather be Xander than Willow?
No, I'm saying I'm in the True Blood world and you're in the PG level Sabrina Buffy world. I'm not even.
Gotcha. Okay, so I watched the show that got good after the first season. You watched the show that was only good the first season.
I mean, they were Rare Panthers. I don't know how terrible that sounds to you.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Willow and Xander are respectable sidekicks. They would never have been able to take down the big bad on their own. And luckily for us, we have our own Buffy joining us this week to ensure that this podcast slays. Dan Machado from Smart Iguana Games. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty awesome.
Dan, we have to know, were you a Buffy fan?
I am not. I was not.
Good job.
All right, so I will stand alone on the Buffy Island. That was totally fine. I will say I watched Buffy for the first time well after it was on television, and it was rough getting through the first season, but then it was really good.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I did see nothing about vampires. Well, it is. Witches. I did see Sabrina when I was growing up. Was that Warner Brothers? And that new season they came out, or the new show on Netflix, The Creepy Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah, Chilling Adventures.
Chilling Adventures.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It is on my to-watch list, but I have not quite gotten to it yet. And now that it's past Halloween, I don't feel like it's totally appropriate to watch that show.
But you can watch Buffy?
Well, I can watch Buffy anytime. Again, quality television.
That's a Halloween show.
It's always appropriate to watch Buffy.
Agreed. It is always appropriate to watch Buffy. And I feel like the listeners are going to support me in this. But hey, you know what?
They probably will.
They probably will. Absolutely. But hey, this is not a television podcast. This is a gaming podcast. So thanks so much for joining us this week. As always, if you have any feedback, questions, suggested topics, hit us up at Board with VG on Twitter. Or check out the awesome things that Josh posts over on the Instagram, also Board with VG. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/boardwithvg. So feel free to give us a 5-star rating over there. As always, if you prefer the long form communication, boardwithvg@gmail.com is awaiting that fan fiction that you're writing. I know someone out there is doing it. We're just waiting to read that fan fiction on the air. And as always, hashtag Board with VG. You know you're excited for this fan fiction when it happens. I've very excited. Some of it. I know. And as always, hashtag Board with VG on all the social media so we can kind of pick up what you're playing, seeing what you're doing. We love to kind of be part of that conversation because, we just like talking to y'all. It's so much fun. As always, just a reminder, Board with Video Games now has its own podcast feed. So if you're listening to us on the PSVG feed, you can hop over and search Board with Video Games individually on all of your favorite platforms for podcasts. So please do that. Leave us a rating or review on those services as well. It would be greatly appreciated. One final housekeeping note. You may notice that as of last week, ads are now inserted into the show. So yeah, kind of bear with us while that happens. We're kind of learning on the back end how this is all going to work. And I promise that, we'll have some actual transitions in the future before those, so that they aren't so abrupt when they happen. So once we get that all figured out, I promise it'll be smoother. So just bear with us a little bit.
It's a sign of success.
It is a sign of success.
Good things.
That's right. Absolutely. But hey, that's enough housekeeping. That was a ton of it. Dan, since you are our guest, have there been any board games you've been playing lately that you'd like to talk about?
There have been. I picked up this game a couple months ago, and I only got to play it recently. End of the Line. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
Comes in a bright green box. Is about you're trying to survive the apocalypse. Not zombie, just apocalypse. You're trying to get supplies like water and ammo and food, things like that. And you are a family, mom and dad, daughter and son, and a dog. Family of 5. And your goal is to survive the apocalypse while at the same time trying to get the other families killed, sort of. And then so you're the last one standing. So I like those cutthroat, heavy games that the whole goal is to screw with people. So I really like that game.
A post-apocalyptic family survival. That's interesting.
Yeah. As soon as I heard the descriptions, I was like, I gotta get that game, and it is really good. I like it.
So
I can't play it here though.
So the first question then is the dog the best character? Because it seems like it should be.
Say that again?
Is the dog the best character? Because, anytime there's a dog in a game, I always just assume the dog is going to be the best character.
Yeah, he's the only one that has like a little power. I wouldn't call it a power. He can't collect resources, but he can get you more resources.
That seems like a win.
Yeah. And, you got to save the dog, otherwise you go insane.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that every game, like especially, one of my favorites, Dead of Winter, the dog, Sparky's like the best. So any game that has a dog, I'm pretty much in.
Yeah. Now, my wife, I play with games with her a lot, and she doesn't mind like killing people or killing other teammates, or that doesn't even faze her. But once there's a dog, it's like, I can't kill the dog. I can't do anything to the dog. It's like, kill it.
It's okay. I'm in the same boat. If you're a person, well, the dog's probably going to be nicer to me in the long run, so I'm going to go ahead and save this dog.
Yeah.
And that at least that way I'll be happy if I die later.
Until the dog's hungry.
No, the dog's not. No, the dog's going to be fine the whole time. It'll be great. Why you got to bring?
What about you guys?
Why you got to bring things down like that, Josh?
Just keeping it real.
All right, so that's End of the Line. Any other games you've been playing, Dan?
Well, I've been playing some of my own games that we've been developing. We have one that I can't really mention too much, but it's about dragons, dragon themed. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's working pretty well. So I'm excited about bringing that out next.
Awesome. I like dragons. Dragons sound good.
Yeah. I think it'll be good. A lot of people are gonna like it. I hope so.
I think if you can incorporate the dragons having pet dogs, it'll be a win all around. Just a suggestion. I'm not a designer. But if the dragons have pet dogs,
terrible.
I try to squeeze in a dog named Kyle.
Perfect. That sounds wonderful. All right, Josh, sir, what have you been playing on your tabletop?
Well, I went ahead and I just had to beat Kyle to the punch. I dropped in on a is it Shop Small Saturday? I'm forgetting the name.
Saturday?
Small Business Saturday. It's Shop Small Saturday. Why not? We figured we didn't really spend too much on Black Friday, so we went to go support our local gaming store. So we dropped in to check out their wares, and they had a lot of new board games. We're very fortunate to be close to a store that actually backs a lot of Kickstarters and gets the retail pledges and gets a lot of, I'll say, maybe hard to find games or not common games you'd find in the stores.
Cool.
And my wife and I were walking around, and there was Fireball Island sitting right on the shelf. And I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I'm like, oh, but it's so expensive. And it's just the base game. I don't have all the cool expansions. My wife and I talked, and we figured if we took some spending money from PAX Unplugged and got, spend some of that now, we get 20% off. Like, how do you say no? So we have Fireball Island, and we immediately played it. And man, I didn't really know what to expect. So I vaguely remember playing Fireball Island, but it probably was not like a full version of the game, like it's at a friend's house in a musty corner, like underneath Monopoly and stuff. And you're like, what's this game? So we set it up. There's maybe 6 pages of instructions, and it's probably closer to 4 or 5 because there's a lot of art on the pages. Very easy to figure out. The setup was not difficult at all, and Yeah, it plays like nostalgia. Does that make sense? I felt like I was 15 again, playing board games with my brother, maybe even younger, maybe 10. It just felt perfectly nostalgic. It's not going to blow any. It's not going to be like the best Euro you've ever heard of, or it's not going to be very strategic necessarily. You're not going to see maybe crazy high reviews as far as theme and like. It's not Gloomhaven. It's not Scythe. But I think there's something to be said for a fun, simple game with crazy good components. And that's what this game really is when it comes down to it. We only play 2 players, so you have to play 2 characters each, and you alternate turns. I think this game is probably awesome at 3 or 4 players. At 2 players, it was good. But if you're not keeping track of who's going, you're supposed to move a token around on which one of your 2 players' turn it is. It is still easy to kind of lose track of that because you're kind of getting caught up in the dropping marbles, going through caves, rolling dice kind of aspect of the game. For the competitive aspect, 4 players I think is ideal, but we still had a great time. The only complaint I'll tell you that I have is putting it back in the box.
Really?
It's almost impossible. I actually have to look it up, and someone posted on their Kickstarter page pictures of how they recommend putting it back in the box, because there isn't a suggested way. And the only solution they had was, Broken Token is working on a storage solution. So I'm like, great, so I'll spend another $50 on a Broken Token insert for this. And I can't imagine the people who have the expansions who want to add all of it together. But that's my only complaint. The box itself is flimsy, but it's super light. And with everything that you have in there, it's something that I would be playing a lot on holidays with friends, because not only is it fun, but it's quick-ish and simple. Like, you can teach this game in 5 minutes and you can get going. So I'm really high on it right now. So big fan, and hopefully so that's all I played. It's been a quiet couple weeks. I mean, holidays, so 1 game.
So really quick, rapid fire questions for you.
Yeah.
So rapid fire, because I got my delivery, Fireball Island, but I haven't even opened it yet. The box is still completely sealed. So I haven't even looked at the game box. I have just a brown box sitting in my kitchen right now. So rapid fire questions. Number 1, I don't even know. What is the retail price of the game, if you don't mind sharing?
$70.
And you got it for 20. That's not bad, though. I mean, yes, I got expansions, but I paid $145.
Yes. No, but it also doesn't have a lot of the components. I did get 2 of the Kickstarter components. I got an expansion deck and the deluxe fireballs. But it doesn't like the other Kickstarter stuff that comes with a lot of other components.
Right. It does have some upgraded stuff. Number 2, have all of your marbles been round?
No.
So
I figured they weren't supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
They're not supposed to be, right?
Well, I think they are. Because that is one issue they've run into, is some of the marbles that people have gotten have not been round.
Oh, yeah. I mean, exclusively, they're not round. I thought it was supposed to be that way because it alters the way it comes out of Falker's mouth.
Yeah, I think maybe they're supposed to be a little bit odd, but I don't think they're supposed to be noticeably not round.
Okay. There, I'll take some pictures and post them on Instagram.
I could be wrong.
Restoration Games will take notice.
Yeah, I could be wrong, because that's another issue they've been having. Number 3, you mentioned it very briefly. What do you think of the box? Because there's been a lot of complaints about the box and the quote-unquote flimsiness of it.
So the people can't see it at home, but I'll show you. This is the cover.
Because it's got the pre-folds.
Oh, no.
It's awful.
So here's the thing.
But the front looks nice. It's glossy.
It says it's awful.
It just, for the price of the game, the components are great, but it's not a very sturdy box at all.
So what they said was, and I don't know if this is fully true, but what they said was part of the reason for that was they were running into a lot of issues with the suction. Because you know how sometimes when you get a game, it suctions really bad? And they said they were running into that issue, and this is kind of the way to solve that. Would you have rather had a suction-y box or a folded box?
I think I'm looking at my box right now, and just from doing what I just showed you, it's already bent.
Oh, well, maybe you should have done that.
But I mean, that's going to happen when you play the game multiple times too.
Yeah.
True.
So I think I can deal with the suctiony part. I would imagine. But I mean, who am I to complain? I really enjoy the game. So what they decided to do, that's what they did. You know, I can't fight that right now. It's if you remember original games, it's like game boxes from the 90s, the same type of game box. And in my opinion, people steered away from that design for a reason. I was surprised to see that that's what the box design was when I opened it. And my wife immediately put it on the floor and she's like, let's see if the cat gets in. I'm like, no, she'll ruin the box because it's already, it's foldy. So, but that's it. I mean, the storage solution is my only complaint. Otherwise, everything else is great. Well, and now I have to look into those marbles.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they're supposed to be round.
I'll look it up. I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him this week. I'm sure I won't look like a fool questioning Restoration Games at a convention about the shape of their marbles.
I'm sure. I feel like it was in some Kickstarter update I got. I don't remember.
It probably was.
Okay. Any other games that you've been playing? It sounds like that's been it.
I played a game at Thanksgiving I don't really want to talk about, so...
Okay.
Oh, no. Did it have to do with Buffy?
No. Well, Buffy might have made it better. It was called Relative Insanity, a game by Jeff Foxworthy.
I remember this big one.
And they put the tagline, you can pick your nose but not your family, which has no relation to the game at all. Just it's because it's a thing that Jeff Foxworthy says. My mom saw it on Ellen, and I mean, you guys must know. Well, Dan has like a board game family, but for people who don't know about board games but know that you're into board games, they think every board game they see is the greatest idea they've ever, like, I got this board game, you should check it out. It's Jeff Foxworthy's Cards Against Humanity. That's all it is. And he just put his name on basically something that people have been trying to duplicate since the original Cards Against Humanity came out. It was fine. It's just the PG-13 version of Cards Against Humanity. I had more fun than I want to admit. So that's why I'm trying to tone it down a little bit.
Awesome. Well, it's unfortunate that I am not going to be talking about legendary Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I do own. I could talk about on this podcast, but I'm not going to.
That's a good system, though. That's a good game system.
Want to?
No, it's okay. It's okay. It is a good game system, though. It's a very good game system. And if you like the show,
yes.
It's an important game. But yeah, the games I am going to talk about very briefly. Number one is the game Arboretum from the folks over at Renegade Games. I was fortunate enough to win a copy of this on Twitter. I don't ever win anything, and then I won a copy of Arboretum. So that was pretty exciting. Got this to the table over the holidays. Arboretum is basically a tile placement game is the best way to put it. And it's one of those games that really fits the easy to learn, difficult to master thought process in that on your turn, you're drawing two cards, playing a card, and discarding a card. That's all you're doing. Every single time, draw two, play one, discard one. But what you're trying to do basically is create the longest path you can in your Arboretum from the trees that are available. So when you're playing with two players, you have 6 species of trees that are available to you. And you're basically just trying to create the longest path. So you're building an Arboretum in front of you by playing a card and then playing another card next to it, another card next to it. You can play them in any order. They just have to be adjacent to another card. And you're just then, all the cards have a number value on them. So if you have a blue spruce that's a 2, and then you have a blue spruce that's a 3, and then a blue spruce that's a 4, you're just making that path. The thing that is interesting about the game, though, is while you're building this path, in order to score it at the end of the game, once all the cards are out, you still have to have, or all the cards have been drawn, in your hand, you still have to have the highest value of those cards in your hand. So if you play everything, you might not actually get to score that if the other player has higher values of, example, blue spruces in their hands than what you have left. So it's this really delicate balance between playing cards out to be able to get a good long path versus keeping some cards back so that when it comes to it, you actually can score that path because you have the higher card value in your hand. I might have a higher value of blue spruce cards, but no path, but it prevents you from being able to score. So overall, a really interesting game, a really interesting concept, and there's a lot of different variation to it that just the first card, just the first tree and the last tree and the path have to be the same. There could be different ones in the middle. You always have to be going up in number order, but you don't necessarily have to go exactly 1, 2, 3, 4. If you go 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, that's totally fine. The thing I messed up on, though, the first time we played it is I thought it was every single path. It's just the highest value path, which I really messed myself up on badly, and I got totally destroyed the first game as a result of that. But overall, if you're looking for a nice family game, plays 2 to 4 players. Once you learn the rules, it's really quick, probably a half an hour to play the game. I think, a little complex, but even, 8, 10-year-old kids would probably be able to pick up the concepts here. Arboretum, really easy to recommend, really inexpensive as well. Definitely recommend taking a look at that if you're looking for maybe a little bit of a strategy game to play with the family or friends. The other game then that I played is, excuse me, a game I recently got from Kickstarter, and that is Spirits of the Forest. Spirits of the Forest, basically a set collection game. Pretty straightforward. Again, not too complicated to learn. On your turn, you basically have a row of 12 by 4, I think it is, tiles in front of you. And you can pick up tiles from the ends. So you're basically working your way into the forest. A lot of tree themes with me this week, apparently. But you're working your way into the forest. So you can pick any tile from your end or the other end. Basically, each tile has a different creature printed on it, and you can pick tiles worth up to 2 of that creature. So if there's 1 on each end that are worth 1, you can pick it. Sometimes they'll have 2 printed on them, or like a value of 2 printed on it, so then you can only take 1 tile. And then if you want to, you have these little totems that you can place that basically like reserves a card for you in the future. Pretty much that's the extent of the game. And then you're just trying to ensure that you have representation from all of I think it's 9 different spirits of the forest. So you're trying to make sure you have representation from all different 9 sets of spirits. And then you just score. Whoever's the most points in each of those spirit sets is going to get to score the points for them. The interesting thing, though, is that you have to ensure that you collect some spirits from every single group, because if you don't have any, you lose 3 points. So even if you can't get the most, you still want to pick up something from them, because otherwise you actually start losing points. So there's no focus on just the one thing, which is kind of an interesting little way to think of it. I know you've played this before, Josh, and talked about it on the podcast a little bit, correct?
Yeah. I didn't know something I talked to Kyle about in Discord. Kyle and I both got the deluxe edition, and it's probably 5 times bigger than the base version, which I was very surprised when I started at the store. But it made sense because the game works small as well. But we got these nice die-cast pieces and an expansion, which I haven't played yet. But it's very elegant, very easy, very, very nice to look at.
Yes, definitely an elegant design. And they're pretty easy to recommend if you're looking for something to play with the family. I also have not played the expansion yet, but hey, I definitely recommend Arboretum and Spirits of the Forest. Really good games, especially this holiday season, if you're looking for something light, easy to teach, to play with people maybe who haven't played a ton of games, or with family. So, hey, that's enough about my board games. Dan, are you a video game player? Have you been playing any video games lately?
I am a slight video gamer. I don't have that many games. I think I talked to Josh before about I played Left 4 Dead 2. I play that a lot. I love killing zombies. And other 2 games that I play are Diablo 3, and one that I recently picked up a few months ago, Age of Empires 2. Those are my 3 favorite games, and I just bounce from one to the other. I don't really play other games. My wife did recently get an Xbox for her birthday, and she loves Lara Croft, and I did get to play that one. Uncharted, I think it's called. Maybe that's another game. Lara Croft.
So Lara Croft is Tomb Raider. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or what's the other 3? What's the other one, Josh, from the new trilogy?
Rise.
Yeah.
Rise of the Tomb Raider and just plain old Tomb Raider.
Well, maybe it's just, Tomb Raider. So, but yeah, I played that. Well, that's how much I know about video games. I just called it Lara Croft.
That's okay. Yeah, the character's totally right. That is the character.
Yeah. It was pretty fun. I like those kinds of games. There's one game that two games that I've been interested about. Rust. I've been seeing a lot of things popping up on social media about Rust, but it seems like a very toxic game. But I love it. I love when I get a group of friends and just get in there and just screw with people. I love it. And Green Hell. Have you guys heard of Green Hell?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
I have not heard of that one either.
You go to a forest with your girlfriend or wife to visit natives of the jungle. I think it's the Amazons, and she gets lost, so she gets kidnapped by the natives, and you have to survive the longest. And the more you go without food or water, then you start going insane. And what's really cool about the game is a long time ago, I heard this on YouTube. There's a video that's called Schizophrenia Simulator or something, where these doctors got together and put up a bunch of sounds of simulating what schizophrenics might hear all the time. And it's really creepy. If you hear one of those and hear the whole, or listen to the whole video or audio, it's terrifying. And they did something similar to that on Green Hell, where you start hearing voices, and all of a sudden you just hear like, "You're gonna die," things like that. "You're never gonna make it," and then screaming. It's really cool. It's intense.
I know they did that with Hellblade, that game that is out on PC, PS4, and Xbox. You play a girl who's struggling with a mental break, and they say play with headphones because you'll hear your inner voices talking to you while you play the game. So I've heard that that's a really good game, but I haven't played it yet. I own it. I just haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
But speaking of Diablo 3, like this, I don't know, Dan, if you know, but Diablo 3 just hit the Nintendo Switch. So
Really?
It's created this shockwave of Diablo fandom again. Minus the BlizzCon thing. So we have a lot of people in our podcast group that are playing it on the Switch, but my buddy Lucas from another podcast, Fluxtapose, we started playing it on the PC again because he had never completed the story, but never followed the story. Like he was playing with a friend who skipped all the cutscenes and everything.
Yeah.
So we jumped right back in, and we've been playing Diablo 3 for a month now, just as whenever we get free time to play together. And they've changed a lot since I played, seasons and all the different character stuff. So we've been playing that, and we went from the start of Act 1 to the end of Act 1. We each had level 30 characters, which was insane.
Yeah.
But they balance that game so well. You feel so strong and powerful, but you're still getting things thrown at you that are challenging enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, people have been, and Kyle's been playing it on the Switch, I believe. So yeah,
that is correct.
Been resurged, has had a resurgence. That's a better way to say that. I'll keep going because I got Battle Chasers. I'm not sure if people are familiar with this. I think the game is actually called Battle Chasers Night War, but it's based on a comic series that I used to read. It's been out for a while. I've been waiting for it to come out on this to drop in price on the Switch because it's an RPG, old school RPG, like Final Fantasy 7-6 style fighting system. But it's all comic book art and has good voiceovers. And it was $8 on Black Fridays for Xbox. So I just jumped on that. I've been playing that a little bit with the gaming time I've had. I'm playing a lot of Destiny 2 again because that's sunk its teeth back into me.
Yeah.
And the big surprise for me, I haven't been playing this by myself, but I bought my wife Pokemon Let's Go Eevee from the Switch with the Pokeball bundle. And I was watching her play, and they give you the tutorial, and they're like, you can play this cooperatively on the Switch. So I'm just lying in bed, and all you have to do is pick up one Joy-Con in your hand, and if you shake it once, a character drops into the other player's game. You're just like an assist character, and you can help catch Pokemon, and you also help battle Pokemon. So when she's battling someone, it's not just her character, it'll be two Pokemon fighting against one, and I'll be able to control my moves and use items and all that on my own, but it's all to complement her and her gameplay. I'm like, I think 8 years older than Pokemon would have been to hit me like right where it hit everybody else. So I never watched Pokemon. I didn't really play any Pokemon games, so this game really didn't have an appeal to me. I tried getting into the DS games because everyone talked about how great of an RPG was, but you can love RPGs, but if you can't get into the plot of the RPG, there's no point. And I just couldn't get into the Pokemon, but to be able to lay in bed with my wife and just kind of spend some quality like time with her at night before we, go to sleep, it's kind of really nice. And the game isn't terrible. It's actually relatively enjoyable. So that was a surprise purchase for me to get. And Kyle's going to talk about his games. I really wish I bought a PSVR on Black Friday, and I didn't, because that's like 2 board games I wouldn't be getting at PAX Unplugged. But Kyle, that's it. I just been playing 3-ish games.
Yeah. I will go through mine really quickly because I've talked about them on PSVG Prime, which I was on this week, which you can listen there if you'd like to. One I didn't talk about too much, and since we were talking about Lara Croft earlier, I'm still playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Started that a couple weeks ago. I'm really enjoying it. I've liked these new Tomb Raider reboots, and I know this game was a little more lukewarm for most people. I'm still enjoying it, though. I don't know that I like it as much as the first two, but every time I sit down to play a game, if I have 20 minutes or a half an hour, this is the game I'm jumping into, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So looking forward to finishing it. I think it says that I'm at 40% complete, but I am being pretty methodical and clearing out most of the areas as much as I can as I go through here. There's some things I don't like. I don't really like the towns and all the people you can talk to in there. Like I prefer a much more linear story. But I appreciate the fact that they wanted to try to do something different. So the side quests are interesting and kind of fun to do, but there's such an urgency in this game about like what the main quest is about. It seems really superfluous to go off and do these side quests when, end of the world is coming, no big deal. So it just seems a little odd to have the time to go do these side quests, but enjoying it though still overall. But yeah, most of my time has been spent in PSVR. And PSVR, man, it has had a great year and a really strong fall, especially if Borderlands turns out to be as good as it's hopefully going to be in December. But right now playing Tetris Effect, probably the best version of Tetris there is. They've made Tetris a game that's supposed to be stressful, intense, into like a Zen experience. And I think the fact that they have done that with the picture and just the graphics and the sound and the music and all of the stuff just happening around you while you're playing it, it really is a pretty remarkable thing that that Mizuguchi has done with this game. You can definitely play it just on the flat screen if you would, and it's still a great Tetris game that way. But playing it in VR, the immersion that's there is significantly different, and I think elevates the game quite a bit. When I was talking to Donnie about it, I related it to Thumper, that you can play Thumper not in VR and it's still a good game, but playing it in VR just feels completely different. And Tetris Effect fits that as well. Also playing some Creed Rise to Glory. It was on sale for like $15. So I said, hey, why not jump in? I enjoy the Creed movies. Might as well play a licensed game. That seems like it'll be pretty good. And I like boxing people. That seems like it'll be fun. And that's pretty much what it is. It's a boxing game. You train. They have like really cool training montages between the fights where you have to do these things, like different little mini games. And depending on the number you complete within the time amount gives you a different amount of stamina in the next fight that you go into. So it's a fun little game. It's, I'm glad probably that I didn't pay full price for it, which is $29.99. But at $15 is fun. It definitely has a good feel. The boxing mechanics overall are pretty solid. The tracking wasn't ideal the first time I played it, but I tweaked my camera setup a little bit, and that definitely made the tracking quite a bit better the second time I played. So if you're looking for a fun boxing game, Creed Rise to Glory definitely fits. And the cream of the crop, Beat Saber. This is a game I've been excited for a really long time. If you want to feel like a sweet, awesome Jedi who really likes to play rhythm songs, apparently, Beat Saber is where it's at. As you have your awesome lightsabers, which they're not called lightsabers, but they are lightsabers, and you're slicing these blocks that come down the path towards you in rhythm with the music, and you have to slice them in the direction that the blocks say. I highly recommend checking out video of this game, and if you are at all into rhythm games, Beat Saber, I think, is a really interesting, cool way for rhythm games to be done. And I think some people have done some really interesting things. There are folks out there who have modded their PlayStation Move controllers into a Darth Maul style single saber, and they're playing the game like that. People are doing some pretty cool things with it. So I know there was some disappointment that none of the custom tracks from PC have come with this game, obviously. But, right now there's 15 tracks in the game, which doesn't seem like a lot. But after playing this game for an hour, and I know I'm out of shape, but after playing this game for an hour, I am wiped. I am just tired. I am sweating. I am, not to have too much information, I'm standing in my boxer shorts with a PSVR unit and 2 Move units in my hand, and that's what I'm doing. And I look ridiculous, I'm sure. And my wife walked in one time and was like, I don't even want to ask, and just walked out of the room. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a great, great game, though. I think it's an easy recommend if you have PSVR. And if you're on the fence about getting a PSVR, let me tell you, the lineup of games right now is just ridiculous. Like, easily, I have 4, probably 3 for sure, maybe 4 PSVR games that might vie for a spot on my top 5 games of the year. So it's a great time to get in if you're at all interested. So
Nice.
Those are the video games I've been playing, but enough of all the games. We have a very special guest on the show with Dan Machado being back. So we want to talk about all the awesome things he is up to. The first time you were on the show, Dan, you were here to talk about Gravity Warfare,
Yes.
which a few months ago, I guess, had a successful Kickstarter. Before we jump into your new game, is there anything you can tell us about how things with production for Gravity Warfare are going, and what that Kickstarter experience was like for you, since it was kind of Kickstarter, kind of 1.5?
Yeah, 1.1. Mach 1.1. Yeah, the everything's going still according to plan. We did run into a couple of hiccups with the vector files and the 3D files for the pieces and all the parts for the game. And it has been a lot of back and forth correcting details, because we want to make sure that everything's correct. And solving those 3D files it was a lot of back and forth. No, you got to fix this part. Look at the back, look at the bottom, and little details like that. So that took a few weeks longer than we expected. But we just want to make sure that everything goes smoothly and well, I guess. But now we are just about to receive the samples, the first set of samples, the proofs of the box, and the samples for all the pieces. We're still waiting on those. And depending on how long it takes for us if everything's correct still after those samples, we should still be at February. We're still looking at February for delivery. But no, hoping it stays that way. But we have no problem. I guess it would be slightly disappointing, and we will apologize a lot. But if we had to push back the date, we will, because we want to make sure that the product we give is good quality and is what everybody expects. So we will take those punches. But everything's going well for now. Everything's going well.
Awesome. I mean, you definitely wouldn't be the first company to ever push back a Kickstarter
I want to
shipping
be the
date.
first to fulfill on time.
That's true. That is much more rare, is fulfilling on time. And if you don't want to go into this next question, I totally understand. But I got to imagine, like, because of the unique nature of Gravity Warfare and that board, I feel like it's got to be kind of terrifying to, like, okay, outside company, production company, go ahead and print this thing and make this thing, and we hope it's going to work out the way that, our prototypes have worked out. Like, I feel like that's got to be pretty scary.
It is kind of scary. We have tried several materials that they have available to mimic what we did here, because they just couldn't do what we were doing here for prototypes. And they are working correct so far. We did do a couple of tests with just regular pieces of the materials that they're going to be printed on, and then the material that the board's going to be. And it is working as expected. So we just got to make sure that the samples and the actual game works the same. But the biggest thing that we focused on for Gravity Warfare was making sure that even with errors in distribution on the weight of the platform, the way that the game is, you can just adjust for that and it won't matter. So that was the biggest hurdle or issue with most manufacturers. Like, well, we can't really make that because it has to be perfect. But then our mechanism, the magnet, that fixes everything. So that's a relief, a sigh from everybody, and it should go well.
Awesome.
We don't expect any more issues.
Great. Well, thanks for the update on Gravity Warfare. You got 2 backers you're talking to right now, so we're happy to hear.
Awesome.
So last time you were on, we were talking, you showed me like 8 boxes of these games.
Yeah, there's like 4 more.
So are we here we're here to talk about, I'm assuming, one of those games?
Yes.
And I want to say it's pronounced Doce, but I have no clue. How would you pronounce it?
It's so funny. It's Doce.
Doce. Okay.
Doce.
I thought it would be Doce, Doce. Okay, so Doce.
Yeah. And that my brother called that. Izzy Ismail. He called that from the beginning. We started looking for the name. We decided Doce, and then he just immediately said, "Oh, people are gonna start calling it Doce." Like, I think people will catch on. Everybody say, "Oh, Doce." Even I catch myself sometimes saying it because everybody says the same, like Doce that way.
Yeah.
And let's play Doce on a Doce.
Well, okay, so Doce is upon us. We have a Indiegogo campaign coming up very soon. So what can you tell us about Doce?
Well, Doce is a 2-player strategic and tactical dice game where players going to take turns placing a die on a 5x5 grid. So we have these. I know you guys can't see it, but I'll show my hosts here. It's a grid with 5 5x5 holes, and you take turns placing dice on these spots with the goal of making a line of 4 dice, 4 of your own dice that equal 12. There's a blocker that helps you mitigate the other player from making a line, and a disc that restricts your placement. So with the rules that we have in place, the game is really challenging and really easy to learn. Simple rules, and at the same time very challenging to play, and it'll definitely get your mind working.
Nice.
When you play this game.
I can tell you, at least from you were kind enough to send us the rules, which are, well, first of all, it's very appealing how easy and simple they are, right? 2 pages of rules, essentially. I think, like, my first impression, at least, this year has become the year I've fell in love with abstract games. So immediately, like, I've seen pictures on your Facebook, mostly with the giant ones, and I'm like talking to my wife. I'm like, I wonder if this is like the giant Gravity Warfare setup, or are we getting huge dice in this game? But I love just the look. It's pure, simple, abstract goodness. Like, when I look at it, but it's so appealing. For some reason, when I see it. So what's it been like? I know you have been doing, you've been going to conventions and having people play it. So what's been the reception for it so far? Oh,
it's very well accepted. The first thing that people think, and there might be somebody that does it, but the first thing that people see is that, oh, this is too easy. I'm going to get you every time. I got it. And as soon as they place the first die, then everything changes. We had on the tournament that you see, we have an article on our website about the conventions that we go to. I like to promote vendors or other designers that go and just post about them and how it went for them and what I thought about their games and their the stuff that they had for sale. But there we have an article about the tournament, and the 2 guys that won were math teachers. So
nice.
And they just wiped the floor with everybody, and then them 2 went head to head, and it was pretty intense. It was intense. Nail biter. They were really going at it, and they developed. I saw them developing a couple of strategies throughout the tournament to try to get each other. But at the end, Henry was the one that took the gold, and David took the silver trophy.
Nice. It's smartiguanagames.com.
Smartiguanagames.com. That's right.
So people can find that there.
Yeah, please.
Cool. So is it like, I get like Sudoku vibes when I look at it, like right away, because of my simpleton mind. Because I thought Sudoku was like for kids, and I remember being introduced to it, realizing.
A lot of people. The most we've gotten, or the most comments we've gotten about similarities, is that it's like Connect 4, Tic Tac Toe, and chess at the same time.
Nice.
So it's really thinking. You got to think. Once you get used to the game and how it plays, or you know how to play, you have to think about your strategy from the first die you place, because every die you put and every number that you choose is very important. You can't just willy-nilly throw any die there because you're doing something here. You got to think of every die is important, especially if you're playing with somebody that also knows what they're doing. We play here at my house still, and it's still very competitive, and some pretty good games. So I really like this game because of how simple it is to learn. It's one of those that you mentioned it before. Super easy to learn, but a lifetime to master. That's what people say. It touches on that. So I'm really happy about this game and how it turned out and how people are accepting it. We play with young kids and young adults and older adults. And they all really enjoy the game. Even the math teacher said that this would be great games for like their library or the school for class. I guess now they play games in school. I wasn't so fortunate as to playing games for class. That would be amazing. But yeah, I don't know if you remember last time we talked about Battle Sheep.
Yes.
Remember that? Yeah. I love that game. Battle Sheep. When I picked it up, I thought the cover does not do justice to how great the game is or how not for kids it is, because you see the box, it looks like a kid's game. Maybe if you heard of it, you'll try it, but it's not really appealing to how cutthroat it can get. It's really intense. And I played it, I loved it, and I really wanted to make a game that was as simple and as challenging to play and fun, and this really scratches that itch and does it for me. So I'm really happy that this game turned out the way it did, and we're really excited about it.
That's awesome. I'm actually a huge fan of Battle Sheep. I've talked about it on this podcast a few times because it is one of those games, like you said, that looks like it's going to be like this really simple, friendly game, and it definitely isn't. When it came to coming up with this game, I am a person who's big on theme. I love theme. And this game very much is clearly an abstract game that is really challenging your mind and how you think. How do you start designing something like this? You mentioned like, I wanted to design a game that made me feel kind of like I was playing Battle Sheep, but like, did you want to design a game with dice? Did you want to design a game that helped people with their math skills? Like, how did you start thinking of it, kind of coming up with this game?
Well, I have to give credit to my dad because he's the one that came up with the concept of this game, not me. I wish it was me, but I am more into like theme games, zombie, stuff like that, and strategy. He came up with the Gravity Warfare, and he also came up with this one. The concept, though, his first draft wasn't, but the first few games of everything, they're not all they can be. But after months of changing it up, adjusting the size of the board, and getting the rules right, because you have to have rules in place to be able to make this game work. And just time. I guess it's his creativity, and we just took that concept and actually made it into a playable game between all of us. And it worked out well, really.
How long from the time that this game was first played, from first version of it, how long from then until now?
I would say it was early in the year, about a year, I would say, a little less than a year. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, and Josh told you, I have boxes here. You want to start pulling them out? I have boxes here of prototypes that I have of game ideas. And we'll have a lot of game ideas, but a percentage of them actually make the cut in my mind. And I made prototypes, and we're still testing and developing them. And a few of these have been here for over a year, and we just can't constantly develop all of them. So that's how it works. And I'm really excited about bringing all of these out. Really excited. There's a zombie games right here, and then this like a civilization game. There's one that's really cutthroat. Oh my god, it's gonna be good. But yeah, there's a few here that I want to get. And you saw, well, I'll show you guys, and there are assets that I press kit for Doce. But just to show you, this is the standard classic version, and we have the special edition, which is oak and pine wood.
Wow.
And you open it up, it's 2 dice trays and all made out of wood.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
And the best one is the luxury set. It's made of Chilean ipe and African sapio, and it's all made out of wood.
Oh wow!
Wooden dice, appeal, maple, And the best part really is the board. We have these inlays. Now, when we cut out the board, we actually cut out and put different wood in it to make a design. And these will be available on the Indiegogo campaign for you to get, and it will be live on the 30th of November. So 3 days.
Not only is that crazy, but I'm pretty sure I read that this game could be in people's hands before the end of the year.
That's right, before for December. So right now, we have to set the whole point of bringing this out, because I know it's too early, and it is early. I would admit that. We just brought it out. We started getting people to see it and notice it and play it. But it went really well in the conventions, and we actually wanted to be able to offer most of these versions for this December. So if you contribute to our campaign, you will get the perks that are the special edition, the luxury, and the color splash, which is another version. You can get it if you if you contribute before December 10th, we will send that out to you before Christmas.
Wow.
If you do pledge or contribute later, we will still deliver it December or send it out to you in December, but we just can't, given shipping and the holidays, we can't guarantee that you get it in time for Christmas.
So is this the reason for the Indiegogo choice, because they give you a little bit more leeway than like a Kickstarter would?
Yeah, they have. I believe both of them have this option where, because we are making these sets ourselves. The classic version is the one that we are mainly asking for contributions to have it manufactured. So that we have to wait months for it, mandatory. But the special edition and the luxury, we're making them ourselves and by ourselves. I mean, my dad, because he's a carpenter. We will be able to deliver these if we don't know the earliest, first come first serve. I guess we'll treat it that way, and up until December 10th, we will send them out before Christmas.
Nice, that's impressive.
You have these big ones right here. Look at these.
Yeah, those are the ones I keep seeing on the website. They're huge.
Yeah, 3.5-inch wooden dice. They're Douglas fir, and this set will also be available for the Indiegogo campaign.
Oh, it will be available.
When you say this set, are you saying you'll be able to buy a complete set of the game at that size, or just 2 dice at that size?
No, you'll be able to get all 24 dice with a mat and that size. And yeah.
So are you going to make okay, now I'm super interested in this. My wife and I actually often make like yard games. Like we'll take regular, like we have made our own like yard size Jenga and like all these good things for outside. So I'm super interested in this big size one. Are you going to make a big outdoor sized Gravity Warfare?
We had a plan of doing that. We did make the jumbo. We did make the jumbo for conventions, and it's really fun to play. But the manufacturing or the logistics on that is a nightmare.
I can imagine.
It's a nightmare. So for now, we won't be able to, but hopefully in the future, we can get to that level and make that game. But this jumbo, this we can make. However, the jumbo and the classic are the ones that are out of the list for this December, so that these two will be delivered or fulfilled around March or April. But the other ones we can make them right now.
Very cool. So when you're listening to this, dear listener, it'll be the 29th because we record on Tuesday, release on Thursday. So you'll have a day to get all of your finances in order to go jump on this Indiegogo campaign. But obviously, this is, game number 2 for Smart Iguana. Yeah. What have you guys taken and what have you learned from the campaign for Gravity Warfare and putting that game out? What have you learned from that you have applied towards, for Doce and ensuring that, this whole process goes smoothly, the fact that you can deliver some games right away? Like, what have you learned from that first game to now the second game?
We learned everything. We made all the mistakes, but not all of them. We were fortunate enough not to make all the mistakes, but we did learn a lot. The process of making the campaign for Gravity Warfare took months of planning and creating. This one took under a month, maybe 3 weeks. So it's very, very smooth. Other than the fact that the actual game it's not heavy theme. I mean, it's just elegant. We wanted to stay with an elegant style and a simple game. And so is the campaign. It's very simple, nothing too crazy. And we already know immediately what we need to put on there, like the deadline, we call it the road to success, where it's all the steps where we from now collecting the funds, samples, production, delivery, film, and all that stuff. So it's just too much. We learned everything and a lot from the campaign. I don't know if I can list them, but it's definitely made making this campaign so much easier and smoother. Where everybody knows their roles, everybody knows what they're going to do, and it's very simple.
Awesome. So you talked about, obviously, for the tournament, math teachers coming out on top, doing really well. Who would you recommend this game for? Who is this game? Who's Doce for? Who would you think would enjoy their time with it?
I think people that play Sudoku would enjoy this game. If you're a fan of Sudoku, if you're a fan of Connect 4, that game, one of the things that my dad mentioned, he's a chess player. And I think that's one of the main contributors of him coming up with this game concept. It does really take that challenging or that strategy of thinking several steps ahead in the game. It's a faster way to get that itch to play chess, but and not take hours to play with somebody, because chess can take hours. Some people play through days of chess. But this game really it kind of scratches that itch on wanting to play chess, but with somebody that doesn't play chess and want like a strategy game and do all that. I think other than that, we were suggested to bring it to libraries and schools. Like I said, teacher said that they'll be great for the kids to start, seeing numbers or getting their brains going on numbers. But yeah, if you like abstract games, this is I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think the game is really awesome. I like it. Like I said, I like the battle sheet, how simplistic and challenging it was, and this is really I really like how this game turned out. And I think a lot of people are going to like it.
Awesome. I would say, I was looking when I was reading the instructions, even just from the example that's in the instructions, I learned a new way to play it. Because you can use your opponent's die essentially, not against them, but in your favor. But one of the examples showed you had your 4 die, and I was counting their die, but you didn't have to use it in the example that was on there as well. So I guess I'll try to explain it the way I read it, and you correct me when I'm wrong, and I'll explain it to the listeners. So essentially, it's turn by turn, and when you play, you put down your die, any number face up that you want, and anywhere on the board. Then you put a token on top of your die to remind you that was your last die that you played.
Correct.
And your opponent can play their die. Now, my question is, because you can't play your own die on a bordering space, can your opponent play their die so they can border your die?
Correct, because you have that token is the marker, the red chip that we have in the game, and it's simply a reminder of which die was your last. That's one of the things that I didn't want to put in the game, because I wanted people to remember and to have to remember. A mind exercise. But for to make the game, I guess, more enjoyable and not have to worry about every single detail, that's a marker. So it's a reminder of which was your previous die, and on your next turn, you cannot play adjacent to the previously placed die. So all the squares around that are restricted to you and you only, and you have to play away, and then you liberate those spaces again. And each player has their own restrictions. So you can't play again, next to your previous, and then the other player can't play against next to their previously placed die. And that really makes a difference. Everybody notices that doesn't matter. But that is one of the key things in this game that is challenging. You don't think it'll hurt you, but if you put the die in the wrong place, they're gonna get you.
It was interesting because I was reading the rules and I was like, oh, I could totally figure this out, because if you think about the 5 across, I'm like, if I put something in spot 1, 2, I can't put something in next turn. I'm like, that's fine. I'll just put a dice in 3. But then I'm like, well, crap, I still can't put something in 2 next turn. I'm like, oh, I'll just skip and then come back. I'm like, but I still can't do that. Yeah. So what I thought was going to be a very simple game for me to be like, I got this, I very quickly learned that this is not going to be a super simple game for me, that I got this. And I couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that I could just pick any number on the die.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to roll them, or I'm gonna have to do something. And it's like, no, whatever number you want it to be, just make it that number. And then I was like, well, crap, I feel like this is a trick.
It is a trick.
Yeah, we've come up with several variations. The base rules are the best that we think the game would work with. But we do like to play or change it up with people at conventions. So if you can roll one die at the beginning of the game or beginning of each round, and whatever number comes up, nobody can use that number.
Oh.
So you have to play and make your 12 without that number that was rolled. The other one is by you roll 3 dice, pick one, and that's one you use, and then you always roll 3 dice for the die that you're going to play. So you don't have all 6 choices. You only have the choices that you roll. So it makes it it changes it up. But the game without those variations, it's very challenging. I promise you guys are going to like it. And yeah.
No, it's very cool. I'm really excited to get it because it's right up my alley for the kind of games I'm digging right now. From this year, like I never thought of myself as an abstract game player because how much I like theme, but games like Onitama have really like Element. Those kind of games have really been selling real hard on me this year, and it's something that my wife likes. So I feel like this will be a game that we'll both really enjoy from what it looks like so far.
I looked at it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I looked at it and instantly said, "Wow, here's another game my wife's gonna beat me in."
No, the everybody that comes into the game, or at least we're playing it, and they're spectating the game. I can beat this. I can break this game. Well, if I told you that there are 28 quintillion game configurations for this game, would you believe me?
I'm going to believe you because you said it. You probably did the math at some point, so I'm going to believe you.
Yeah, there's over 28 quintillion game configurations, so you'll never play the same game twice. Even if you manage to play the same dice in the same places, or you stick with your own strategy, other players are gonna change it up on you, and you have to move with the punches or roll with the punches. Yeah, it's 2,500,000 times more configurations than Connect 4 has.
Wow.
Man.
Impressive.
Wow.
Very
Josh,
cool.
any other questions for Dan before we move on to listener questions?
All right.
No, I think all my questions were answered, at least. I'm probably going to have a lot of questions once I get the game in my hands. Like, how do I beat this? What's your best strategy to beat my wife? But yeah, no, I'm very excited for it. And yeah, I mean, honestly, my biggest question was the Indiegogo one. And you nailed it. I totally get it. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it'll show on the campaign. We already recorded the video, and I also mentioned in the video. At least I explained it to where I'm sure some people might have more questions after what I say, because I'm saying you can have it this December, and if you order before December 10th, you can get it. We'll send it before Christmas, so some people might get confused on the timeline. So we'll post frequently asked questions. But you'll see the is it wreath or wreath? The Christmas
wreath.
The wreath on the perks that you can get this December.
Oh, nice. It's funny because Doce might be the first game I buy at PAX Unplugged. Is that weird? I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged the day that launches. I'll probably back that before I get into the convention hall.
But yeah, we're really excited about this game, and we hope it takes off. And I mean, these are really beautiful boxes for those that like upgraded games, and we make them ourselves. So there's no
can't beat handmade.
Yeah,
I love it. Cool. Well, we do have some listener questions, so let's cover them.
Right.
And everyone's answering. No cop-outs.
Okay.
Remember, anyone who's listening, you guys can hit us up at Board with the VG on Twitter, Instagram, and email at boardwiththevg@gmail.com with any questions. If you're in our Discord, same goes. Our first question's from super listener Paul Calicote, who just won a copy of Guardians from us. was very excited to see that. He says Transformers has just released a new card game, and the art is awesome. I think the starter pack is 20-ish at Target. Will either of y'all be checking it out? So it is a Transformers TCG, if I am correct. It's not a CCG. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been looking at it for about a month. They have it at Barnes & Noble, Target, probably Walmart. They have starter sets. My wife is a Transformers fan, so this will be an easy buy-in for her, I believe. What's interesting is they do have booster packs. They also have, like, you have a hero rule, like Autobots or Decepticons that are an extra large card size, and then you have a regular deck size for cards. So the starter pack has, like, Bumblebee and probably Soundwave or someone, I'm not sure. But it's going to be a stocking stuffer, Paul. I'm going to put that in my wife's stocking. I can tell you that because she doesn't listen to my podcast, so I can really say anything I want about her. But she'll be getting that in her stocking, unless for some reason she wants to grab it at PAX. But how about you guys? You guys have any insight? Have you seen this? Any interest?
Well, I did see it on at Target, but I can't say that'll be the next purchase that I make. I do have an eye on a game that I've been wanting to get, and that'll be next one. Because I have my library, I guess you call it. My shelves are full, and I definitely gotta pick and choose which ones are the next one. Because I have the library of my favorite games, and then I have a closet full of games that I don't want on my shelf.
So what's the game that's next on your list?
Who Should We Eat?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know this game.
Oh, yeah, that's a great game.
Sounds like a fun party game.
Yeah, it is a fun party game. I don't know if it's a max players, but you can play a bunch of people, and you play a group of survivors in an island, and there's two trackers, a sanity tracker and a hunger tracker. So you're trying to build a raft and survive several days. And, you know, when you build the raft, you can go, or if you survive how many days you live. But every night or every day, you have to eat. And if the group didn't collect enough food, you have to pick somebody to eat and kill and eat. I love it. So all these cards, you pick a character card at the beginning, and some of them are skinny and they're worth like 1 food. And some of them are obese and they're worth 7 food. So if you need like a bunch of food, you start looking at the big guys, and then who's gonna be next. And you can backstab, kill other people. So if there's enough food, they don't have to kill you. So it gets pretty intense. Yeah. The best part is that after you die, you become a ghost, and now there's a ghost deck that now your job is to torment and haunt the survivors and make their sanity tracker go down faster, and try to kill everybody.
Yeah, I love this because people always accuse me of being the traitor in Dead of Winter, and then I immediately ruin their lives for kicking me out of camp. So this will be great. If I get eaten first, I'll start haunting everybody. Kyle, we went off on a nice tangent there. What do you think about Transformers, the card game?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's totally okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually way more interested in Who Should We Eat than I am in Transformers, the card game. So that works out well. Yeah, so I was a odd kid for my age. I was never super into Transformers. I tried to get into Transformers by watching the Michael Bay movies, and that was a mistake. So yeah, I really don't have any desire to get this game. The art looks cool. Like, it looks like it is not a. Looks like there's a lot of design that went into it. With just like looking at the face with the mechanics and mechanisms that are there. I'm not a Transformers person, so the theme does nothing for me. And when it comes to a CCG or a TCG, if I don't like the theme, it's going to be a hard sell for me. So I am going to pass on Transformers.
That is fair. He also adds, have y'all tried the new DLC for Spider-Man? He's, of course, referring to Spider-Man on the PS4. Kyle knows I haven't been able to try it yet, but I tried. But I think Kyle's checked it out. Yes? No?
I downloaded it.
Oh, okay. So no, And Dan, I'm assuming you don't have Spider-Man for the PS4?
No, I'm terrible at those console games. I mean, even playing Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, with a joystick, I'm like, I'm this guy. I'm just
Yeah.
looking up, and I can't aim. If you give me a keyboard and a mouse, I'll destroy everybody, but not with a joystick.
Nice. That's okay. They just added keyboard support to Xbox One for certain games.
Yeah.
Mouse and keyboard, which I have to check out at some point. Kevin Austin at PSVG Kevin. I'll ask you guys first. Kevin says, "What are you most excited to see at PAX Unplugged?" Kyle.
I am looking through the schedule really quickly as I scroll through here. I'm going to say, eventually listening to whatever Dice Tower Top 10 they do.
Doing a top 5 this year.
Oh, it says Top 10 in the schedule.
Yeah, he updated it because they have everyone, Mandy and Suzanne.
Oh,
and
okay.
there, so.
Well, whatever Dice Tower Top 5 they do is, I think, the thing I'm most looking forward to because it's the first thing that I see that I know I'll actually see at some point. So that's what I'm going with.
Okay. Dan, I think you're actually at another convention during PAX Unplugged. Is that correct?
There is a convention. It's more like a Comic-Con here in North Charleston in South Carolina. So I'm really trying to stick with like local conventions and support them. So we help each other grow. But yeah, we're gonna stop by there and try to promote the Indiegogo campaign for Doce. And hoping to meet all the more of the local gamer community. Because it's a few of us here. Only a few. It's not that many gamers here in the Low Country.
Gotcha. Do you have any idea, anything you are excited to hear about from PAX Unplugged?
Well, I have a few friends that are going. Not sure I can keep up with all the news.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we've been really busy with the campaign and getting everything ready for the launch. So
that's okay. No worries. Not everyone can be there. I didn't think I was going to be there for a while. So, Kevin, I guess I'll say I can't pinpoint a specific thing I'm excited to see at PAX Unplugged. Last year they announced Betrayal Legacy. And that was a big announcement for them. This year I'm excited to buy it and play it at PAX Unplugged. It's Betrayal at House on Haunted Hill. Betrayal at House on Hills is like one of my favorite board games. So I can't wait to get the Legacy themed version of it.
My wife is that's her favorite game too.
Yeah, I'm a huge and I've only heard incredible things about Legacy for it. So yeah, I'm excited to check that out, and I'm excited to be bored with video games there. This is episode 60. I was there last year. We had episode 4, I think, out.
Something like that, yeah.
We were a mess.
Well, how many episodes do you have now?
This is number 60, so yeah, we're crushing it. And I have business cards this year. I went out and got sick of asking, so I went and made my own business cards. They're not great, but they'll do the job. And I'm kind of just excited to be there. I was hoping Dan would be there. Dan's got stuff to do though. I was hoping Colin from Plaid was going to be there. He's got stuff to do, so someday we'll all meet up. But I'm excited to meet everyone else and keep on keeping on with this awesome hobby we all have.
Hopefully.
Maybe PAX Unplugged next year, Josh, you and I can actually meet in person.
Maybe we can do it at something before.
Wait,
then.
what?
Yeah, Josh and I have never met in person.
You guys never met in person?
No,
he's so far away.
Yeah, he lives in Massachusetts and I live in Iowa. So yeah, we've never met in person. Only through the internet. All right, Kevin Austin. Well, thanks for making me feel bad about not going to PAX Unplugged. I really appreciate that. As we start pulling this episode into the station, we are clearly a gaming podcast, but we like to give you one recommendation, suggestion, thing we are currently into that is helping us live a well-rounded life. Something that's not gaming related, that we're just enjoying in our free time. Dan, do you have any suggestions for our listeners to help them live a well-rounded life?
Oh, I was hoping I would go last.
Oh, that's fine. Not a problem at all. I will go first then. So recently I had the opportunity to go to the movie theater. My local theater just underwent some massive renovations. We used to only have one theater that had like the reserved seating loungers. Now every single theater in there has reserved seating, with with loungers. They actually added heated seats to them now. Like, they went through a nice renovation. So said, hey, you know what? We'll go check it out. We'll reward them for making watching movies more enjoyable. Went and saw Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. And I'll say, it was a very enjoyable movie. We were the only people there who didn't have kids, but it was still really good. I definitely recommend it. It has some nice, you know, how kids movies tend to have, or animated movies tend to have some sort of message or lesson for you to take away. This one has a little bit of a different one that you don't typically see in movies. And I thought it was a really poignant, well thought out, well crafted message that they kind of leave you with. So overall, really recommend it. If you enjoyed the first Wreck-It Ralph, I think you'll definitely enjoy this one. The princess scenes that are in it are excellent. But yeah, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, definitely recommend. And no, I don't know why it's Ralph Breaks the Internet instead of Ralph Wrecks the Internet. Other than that, might be really hard to say. So
it's because of all of this person breaks the internet nonsense.
I know.
Going on.
I get it, but like Ralph Wrecks the Internet is actually really hard to say. But anyway, Josh, what is your recommendation for a well-rounded life?
So I'm going to keep it on theme with other entertainment things instead of weird life advice I try to give. And I'm just going to say, I didn't discover this. This has been in my radar. Bill Hader, one of my favorite Saturday Night Live alumni, has a show on HBO called Barry. I just got to watching it. 26-minute episodes, easy to digest. He plays a former Marine who doesn't know what to do with his life when he comes home and is recruited to be a contract killer. And he's very good at it, but he doesn't like doing it. He ends up accidentally stumbling across a acting school taught by Henry Winkler that he finds himself drawn to. So he becomes this hitman by day who Stephen Root from Office Space, the red stapler guy, is his like do hitmans have pimps? He's the hitman pimp. He gets him his jobs, and he starts falling for a girl, and it's just very much this guy who's learning how to live his life. So he approaches relationships like a 15-year-old boy approaches relationships and life, because he doesn't know how to be anything but a killing machine. So it's very funny. There's some surprises. It's violent, but not over the top violent. So it's violent for purpose. So watch Barry. I got one episode left, the season finale of season 1, and I think season 2 either started or starts soon. So if you have HBO Go or just HBO Access, watch Barry.
I think season 2 is 2019.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So Dan, you had some time to think.
Yeah, I did. Well, I came up with something, and I will get weird. Won't stick with the entertainment.
Good.
One thing I used to do when I was in the military, and that I find myself doing, often, especially in high stress days, is to wake up maybe 10 or 15 minutes early and take your time with your early routine, with your morning routine. Because a lot of, especially in the military, everything was, super fast paced. You gotta brush your teeth, shave at the same time while you're putting your boots on so you can make to muster. And it's super stressful. And when you do that, you forget things, or, you don't shave right. Anything can happen. And it really sets the tone for the day. The same way, if you just wake up a little early, just drag your feet to the bathroom and then shave, take your time and brush your teeth slowly, put on your clothes, really relaxed. It really sets the tone for the day, and you'll be amazed how well your day is going to go.
Nice.
That is some great advice to leave our listeners with.
There you go.
So Dan, hey, thanks again for joining us this week. Where can people keep up with you, Smart Iguana Games? Now is the time for you to plug or replug anything you'd like to as we wrap the show up.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. You can keep up with us on any social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, did I say Instagram already?
Mm-hmm.
Smart Iguana Games, LLC. You can also go to our website where we try to post weekly articles about what we're thinking on new board games or our board games, how to make prototypes, things like that like content that we're working on for our website, smartiguanagames.com. Look out for that. Subscribe to get the latest stuff that we have, upcoming games, and we really hope to see you and the listeners to go at our Indiegogo campaign and support us on this new game that we are really excited about, and we hope that you guys will enjoy.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Dan, for joining us. We always appreciate it when you are here. Josh, what do you say we wrap this show up?
What a great idea. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, you can find us on social media at BoardWithVG. Use that hashtag BoardWithVG. We want to see what you guys are playing. Facebook.com/BoardWithVG. And, of course, the not as empty as normal, boardwithvg@gmail.com. Plugs. What can I say about my plugs? You can find me at Josh Bones on Twitter, Baloney Borboni on Instagram. You will.
What a great tag.
Thank you. You can find me at It's Why So Serious, SIRRIUS on PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. And if you're at PAX Unplugged, let's hang out. Tweet at me, message us, email us, whatever. I'll be around. My wife and I love playing games. It's just two of us, so we could always use more. So let's meet up and hang out. And if not, come next year. I'll be dragging Kyle with me.
Hopefully. That's the plan. You can find me at all the usual places: Twitter, Instagram, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Board Game Geek, all at Psychocross, CYCOCROSS. As a reminder, if you are listening to this episode when it's relatively new, we are still taking entries for the Video Game Awards prediction show. So just email us, boardwithvg@gmail.com, with who you think is going to win Game of the Year from the 6 nominees for the Game Awards Game of the Year category. You don't have to get the answer correct. You just have to submit who you think will win, and you'll be entered in a drawing to win a pretty sweet prize that is still kind of to be determined. But it'll be good. I promise you that. So go ahead, hit us up there. We'd love to have as many entries as we can for that. If you have suggestions for future topics, be sure to reach out to us on social media, because we want to talk about what you want to hear about. Make sure that the day after you listen to this, if it's new, that you head over to the Indiegogo campaign for Doce, as I know Josh and I will be backing it day one, because I need to get the wife a Christmas present, and this seems like the perfect fit. As always, everyone, remember, whether it be board games or video games, never stop gaming.